Jason Smith here from Hobo Ford Survival. On this week's Tips and Tricks, I'm at a trailhead, stranded with a dead battery. I'm going to show you what I got in the back of this truck here that's going to get me through the night. Got my gear out here. I'm not going to stay in the vehicle because the vehicle can get down below freezing staying in there. Even though I carry a sleeping bag with me in the car, I don't want to be in that cold vehicle, especially when I have the means to get out here and start a fire. But the first thing I need to think about is identifying that this vehicle is disabled and I need help. So I'm going to grab my signal kit out of my bag that I carry with me, and I'm going to put out an attention getter out of my signal kit. I'm going to put out that VS17 panel to get somebody's attention. So I'm looking here. It's something to gain some attention from somebody. So I can take that, put it underneath the windshield wiper there. That'll gain some attention. If I didn't have all this dirt on the back, I would put a note here with this, but I'm going to capitalize on the fact that I got all this dirt on the back, and I'm going to write down, vehicle disabled. Need help. Love Hobo Forge. So now I've got a note to anybody that comes across this vehicle. Now I need to show which direction of travel I'm going to take. So I'm going to quickly survey the scene here. I know that the main road is some miles this way. I'm not going to make it back before it gets dark. But I know if any cars are going to come down that road, I'm not really expecting to see anybody at this late in the day. It'll probably be tomorrow morning, but they're going to come from that direction. They're going to be able to see this from afar. This VS17 panel is going to catch their eye. They're going to drive up. They're going to see my note. Now they need to know where I am. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make an arrow here. I'm going to grab some of the stuff that's laying around here, sticks and whatnot, and I'm going to create an arrow on the ground to show people which way I traveled. I'm traveling up into that direction there where the woods are a little bit thicker. It's out of this low ground where cold air is going to settle tonight. And I'm just going to set up in those trees up there where I can get a little bit of a windbreak, build a fire, and build a shelter. So all I'm doing here is making an arrow, putting down a direction of travel. This paired with the note, paired with the VS17 panel, paired with a vehicle that shouldn't be sitting here overnight is indicator that somebody needs some help up this way. So I'm more than likely to get somebody to come pay me a visit tonight if somebody comes down here to aid in me getting out of here. So I'm pretty much done here at the vehicle. I've gave every indication that I need some help. In this scenario, the vehicle's dead and my cell phone's dead as well. So now my next priority is to move up into those woods and establish shelter and some fire for the evening. All right, as I come up here, I can still see my vehicle. The arrow is literally pointing to where I'm at. I look around here and there's an absolute ton of resources to get this shelter built. I have these two trees here that I can span my ridge line for my super shelter, and then build my fire out here in my long fire out here in the front where it can be seen very readily from the road. So I like this spot. As everybody's probably wondering, why am I not just sleeping in the car? It's right there. Well, You know, there's no way to heat that car from the inside, and that car can turn into an ice box sleeping overnight. Though I have a sleeping bag, I'm looking for a way to be much more comfortable. In addition to that, any water that I may have to get is out here. I can get that water, I can boil that water, I can actually cook out here if I want to cook something to eat. And of course, if it was 50 degrees outside and overnight low is going to be in the 50s, I'd probably just sit, kick the seat back in the vehicle and stay in the vehicle. But since it's going to be below freezing tonight, I want to have fire, I want to be comfortable, so I'm going to move adjacent to my vehicle up into these woods here and make myself a comfortable campsite. Right now I'm gathering the resources I need to build my crib. Yeah, we've shown you in other videos what a crib is, so if you're wondering what I'm building and why, you can look back at the other videos. It's just a frame in which to get my body up off the ground and get me out of the snow. So I'm just basically building a bed frame or a crib. I'm building it log cabin style. Get me up off the ground. You see how deep the snow is. To get down to bare earth, I'd have to do a lot more work to thermalize this. So I'm just gonna build above the snow using these pieces of wood. I can just have a sleeping bag, so I can just make a simple bed frame here. It doesn't have to be in depth like in other videos where you fill it full of boughs. This is just going to be simply a bed I can lay on and then build my long fire out into the front. So I'll measure these off. All right. And basically I'm just making slats for myself to sleep on with my sleeping bag, you know, being cognizant of stuff like that. So what I'm doing is I'm just processing these with my tomahawk. These are hobo hawks that I sell through my business. I always have my hobo hawk with me in my bag, whether I'm out just backpacking or scouting or whatever I'm doing. I have this tool with me because of its versatility and dependability. In the absence of any type of boughs that I can put down for getting me up off the ground for that thermalization, I'm using these logs here to get me off the ground. So I'm up off the snow and the cold air will settle underneath me. So the bed's made. I'm up off that ground, achieving some sense of thermalization because I'm up outside of that wet snow that I can't clear down to bare earth on. I got the sleeping bag up here for insulatory effect and for a little bit more comfort to lay on those sticks there. So now I'm establishing distance from where my shelter is going to be to my long fire, and I'm going to start building up the base for my long fire. We're on a snowy surface here, so I need to build a fire lay that gets my fire up out of that snow. So I'm going to put a bunch of sticks down here, and these are going to be the barrier that I'm going to build my fire on. And I want to be generally, for this shelter, I want to be generally one pace away from the shelter that I'm going to construct. So I'm just going to throw some stuff down here for the long fire, stuff that's here that I'm tripping over. I'm My fire lay is made for my long fire. I'm gonna build my fire on top of this fire lay so it's up out of the snow. But right now we're gonna focus on building the shelter around this bed. I'm always cognizant of, working with gloves or mittens or anything like that. So what I like to do for wintertime is I'll just tie a simple overhand knot in my line here, so I don't have to untie a bunch of different knots when I'm done. And then I'll grab a stick, use a part of this rose bush or whatever this was in the summertime. So I'm gonna wrap this end around the tree here. I'm gonna bring this loop through this loop, insert my toggle, and cinch that down on the tree. Go down on this end. Bring this through. I'm going to pinch here, bring this around, bring a tail through, establishing my slip knot, and we're done. Easy to harvest when it's time to go. I don't have a lot of crazy knots to untie with my gloves on, it being as cold as it is out here. So now I'm going to unwrap my space blanket. These Mylar blankets are a fantastic resource. Obviously, once you take them out, you're never going to get them back in the bag. I carry one of these with me everywhere I go, as well as a Mylar sleeping bag. I keep that in the car generally. But this Mylar blanket, great resource. Lightweight, definitely have one in my pack and in my car with my car kit. So in this case, I got a couple rubber bands here. I can use these rubber bands to affix this to the actual line. Hey guys, this is the Ridgeline shelter or a Ridgeline that I showed in the other shelter videos here. I'm just affixing this Mylar blanket to it before I throw my plastic over the top and then build my fire. So I'm gonna get this dialed in, and then I'll throw the plastic over, and then I'll button this shelter up. Like always, I got duct tape wrapped around my lighter. It comes in handy in all instances. And in this instance, from fire to putting up this shelter, I could stick this Mylar blanket right to my Ridgeline. So this is a 2 mil drop cloth plastic. You can get it at any big box store. This is going to create the greenhouse effect that I'm looking for inside the shelter. So I'm going to work this over top of the shelter. It's going to create the greenhouse effect off of my fire. So the fire is going to push heat inside my shelter through the plastic. I'm up off the ground where the hot air is going. So I think on these ends here, I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to tie these off like this, just so they don't blow away. Put a little knot in there. So this shelter is it's just a take on Morse Kohansky super shelter. So you're up off the ground. Into the bubble, if you will. You have a reflective Mylar blanket in the back to reflect the heat. The heat coming off the long fire is going to permeate the plastic, the 2 mil plastic. The heat then will be trapped inside, and be trapped inside with you up off the ground, so you'll be able to sleep within that good bubble of hot air is the idea behind this. So essentially for the layman, this is basically a greenhouse. We're taking the heat that comes in and we're trapping it within the structure itself, and then capitalizing on that by getting inside that structure. It's going to hold that heat. Any heat that's radiating off of us, as well as the fire, hits the Mylar blanket and continues to hold that heat in there, as would a greenhouse. So now I'm going to go ahead and get everything ready to get this long fire started. So out here we don't have a lot of, we don't have any good good tinder, so you have to make tinder. So right now I'm going to shave this stick down onto this sleeping bag and create basically feathers. These will all catch fire faster than just the regular sticks because they're thinner. They come up to combustion faster. Alright, so I got my leaves there, and the idea is then take these wood chips and put these here where it's advantageous for them to light. And I got my small sticks here. Now I've got a lot of like little stuff here I could put on top, but I'm reaching and grab my fire starters here. And in this context, obviously since my vehicle's right there, I have my lighter in my pocket. Obviously, for this scenario, I have a lot more resources available to me than I've had in previous videos. If you want to see a comprehensive list of what I carry in my vehicle, check the link below. So I'm going to grab my fire starter out of here, take my lighter, and I'm going to get that started. You know, fluffing it up. You know, it's a little windy. I'll fluff it up. That'll help get it started. And I'm going to put my fire starter there. Now I got about a 4.5 minute burn time on this fire starter. What I'm hoping is it's going to start to take off and burn those chips and get my fire started. So we'll just let that kind of do its thing. And if I've processed all these chips correctly, hopefully we'll grab hold of those and we'll get us a fire started here. Obviously, I have more fire starters available if need be. I'm going to put my gear away so I know where my gear is. It's almost 50 in here. It's like 40, it's like 47 degrees in here. So I climb in, I can distinctly, you can still see my breath in here a bit, but I feel this plastic's relatively warm, you know, and I'm up off the ground, so the heat that's coming in here is coming in, and it's allowing me to kind of live in this bubble up here, off the ground. So the cold air is sinking underneath the platform, and I'm up off the ground. And as that fire continues to grow, and that fire eventually, I'll have that thing stoked to the point where it's the length of my shelter. So therefore, I'm receiving heat from that entire fire. So yeah, we are high 40s in here. So I'm about wrapped up on my shelter here. I could button up for the night now. All I would have needed to do was collect some more firewood to keep the fire going through the night. Got plenty of heat here. We see we got about a 10-15 degree increase in temperature here from outside to inside, ambient temperature outside. And at this point, we would just manage the fire and then just hunker down for the night. Certainly this isn't what everybody would have built. A lot of people may have stayed with their car, and that's fine. I hope you like what the shelter I built today. It just gives you more tools in your toolbox as far as staying warm if in fact you find yourself in this type of scenario. If you like what you saw today, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you would have done something different, or you have some other comments regarding the shelter and my decisions for this scenario, please comment below. And don't forget to tune in for the next Smart Tips and Tricks video. Thanks for watching.